Sorry, just making sure my technology is working. I think I'm here.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you again.
Likewise.
How's things at Hot Lizard?
Yeah, good actually. It's nice we're busy without being too manic. It's interesting the changes coming through, especially being in the UK. So yeah. What about yourself?
Yeah, staying busy, got job board con coming up and busy as ever with consulting and stuff. So,
Perfect.
nice. Hey, Brian Fox from Trusted Herd.
Hello, Chris Russell from Job Board Secrets. How we doing?
Doing all right.
Yeah.
What's new in Trusted Herd's world?
What is new? Tomorrow we'll send out a company-wide email letting everyone know scheduling and checking in and checking out of jobs is live and ready to roll.
Nice.
Um, got a new section called Communication Hub that will come out tomorrow that essentially consolidates all reviews that companies receive and review requests from workers. Because previously we were using like SMS and email notifications if a worker wanted to be reviewed for a job.
Mhm.
And, those just end up anywhere. And we didn't give workers the chance to like keep sending them because otherwise people would just keep hitting that button, request, request, request.
Yeah.
So this will be a way that it consolidates where the entire company can see a review request and they log in individually. And yeah, all is good. I mean, we're up like 25% on job postings from last year already. So just hoping, the dance keeps going.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Good to hear, my friend. Mm. And Amy, what's new with jobs and logistics?
Just plugging along over here, all's really good. It's been an interesting couple of years. Haven't seen anybody in a long time. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in a while.
I know. I saw you.
Last year was
I see you.
Sherm.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, doing well. Sean left, he recently, but everything is good on that end. I
Yeah,
know
I
you've already talked to him about that.
talked to him last week about it. Still going to come on. Well, you're
Yeah,
going to join us for Job Board Con. We'll talk to you as well about your company and we'll kind of focus on the longevity because you've been around for a long, long time, along with Steven over here.
I
We're probably
know.
the OGs of the space.
Which which is weird because if you add up Amy's age and mine, you only get to 35.
Of course, of course.
You graduating from high school next year, is that right, Amy?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. Time flies.
I know. It's
There's
like how? How is it this long? That's what I want to know. How are we here? Wait a minute. 20 some years later. Oh my
It's
God.
it's because Don Firth, has you trapped. Oh, hi, Don.
You never change. You never change, Steve.
If I didn't say something like that, you would have been disappointed.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Hey Don, how's it going?
It's going great. How you doing?
Good to see you, man.
Good.
Nice. All right. Well, let's I just want to do a quick little virtual update here and talk about some news, talk about Job Board Con and also Jennifer, what's new in your world with Hot Lizard and the product and stuff? Anything you want to mention?
Um, no, nothing off the top. Nothing springs to
Yeah.
mind just yet.
Oh, here's another question. So, what's your latest client? Give a shout out to your latest client there.
Um, we in the UK we've had a couple of niche boards come online, which has been quite nice to see. I think there's been more focus on niche sites rather than necessarily the generalist sites.
Mhm.
Although we do have a couple of larger sites that are migrating to us, but until they're live, we can't say who they are. But yeah, I think it's interesting to see the changes coming through. Traffic wise, we're delivering more traffic to jobs than we are now than we have been throughout January and February this year. So traffic wise, things is picking up, and that's on both sides of the pond for us, which is good to see. But yeah, I mean, the only
I
thing that we
just
have gone.
Are you guys looking at adding any kind of AI capabilities to the product at all?
Yeah, it's finding the best way of adding the AI capability. So when you say about the products, we have launched this year the ability for subscriptions to be set up reoccurringly. So our job board clients can set up the ability for their clients to pay X amount per month for an amount of product. We've got two-factor authentication that's in the pipeline as well. That's currently in testing. So hopefully that'll be going live in the next couple of weeks. In terms of AI, the problem we've got is finding the best way of doing it. And as much as a lot of our job content is coming onto our sites via XML feeds, we've seen a bit of a move away from multi-posters. So where we're seeing more corporates, especially using quite sophisticated ATSs, they're picking the job boards that they want to work with and sending the XML feeds directly rather than using, and I appreciate this is UK centric, but Logic, Melon, Broadbean, Idaboo, etc. So they're kind of cutting out the cost because they are seeing that they're paying a license fee for a multi-poster that they're not using. They know that these jobs go to these four job boards, for example, so putting that relationship directly. So the fact that our job content is coming in via feeds is working out how's best to use AI, but thinking more on the candidate side. But yeah, it's just interesting to see kind of the shifts in the marketplace on all sides.
Very cool. Very cool. Thanks for the update. All right, let's talk about Job Board Con. Hope you all are coming. If you haven't yet, Brian, you messaged me about a different payment method. I can send you an invoice or something, and then I'll invite you. I'll get you an invite somehow.
Okay, sounds good.
Through PayPal. So yeah, PayPal is the only option that Zoom gives me. And I'm paying $100 a month for this, webinar thing, and so I can charge people. And they only give me one option, which is PayPal, which is stupid, but I'm forced to use it. So anyway, coming up in 2 weeks. So if you haven't joined yet or haven't signed up yet, hit that. Go to jobboardcon.com for the viewers out there. We're going to talk about, we got 4 sessions going on. I got 2 interviews and a 3-hour event. It'll be recorded as well for the audience. So if you can't make it live, you can watch it on demand afterwards. And Suj Boudreau from Resume Wallet, CV Wallet will be my co-host for the event and also the sponsor of the show. And tickets are $59 at jobboardcon.com. So we'll talk about, we'll do some intros first. Ask me anything, kind of a session first up. So if you have any burning questions out there, bring those to that first session and we'll do some live consulting there. Session 2, we'll talk about LinkedIn growth strategies. I think LinkedIn is becoming much more important as a social media tool, and the other platforms, Facebook and X and Twitter, are becoming less important, I think. So we'll talk about that and how you can use that channel to grow your job board and traffic and stuff. We'll bring on Sean Horton, industry vet, talk about prospecting and selling to employers. That'll be the focus of that discussion. Talk about prospecting, selling, how to sell stuff. Amy's coming back here. And you have a nice conversation with Sean. He's been in this business for a long time as well. He's done it all. Session 4, should you start with a community site? So I get a lot of consulting clients who may be better off by, it's about building an audience first. And I think a community website is kind of a focus you can also tap into to build that community. So we'll talk about that angle of, a niche job board, if we have a niche audience, because you don't need necessarily a job board software to start. That's kind of the point here. You want to build an audience first. I tell all my clients, the first year is about building up your job seeker audience, however you can. And I think a community site could be a way avenue to that. And I have a community site on jobboardsecrets.com, pro.jobboardsecrets.com, built on Mighty Networks. It's a community site software that for $50 a month, you can use and build a community. And so it's kind of an interesting tool out there and avenue for people to think about. So we'll kind of talk about the pros and cons of that and some of the software that's out there as well. Session 5, we'll talk about how to monetize job seekers, just kind of a continuing discussion on ways diversifying your revenue streams. It's something that I think every job board has to do. And there's various ways of doing that. So we'll run through those different items and talk about monetizing that portion of your business as well. And we'll wrap it up with a conversation with Amy Noah from Job and Logistics They've been around for 25 plus years. They run a bunch of niche job boards. Kind of get our take on what they're up to, what they're doing, how they stay in business so long, and that kind of stuff. So bring your questions for that as well. So that's jobboardcon.com. Hope you guys are all coming, and we'll get into it. So let me also share my latest news. Let's talk about some news in the space because there's definitely been some interesting stuff going on overall. Big acquisition last week from folks over at JobGet. They bought Seasoned, a season.co. Here it is here. You guys can see the screen, right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So these guys are in the hospitality space, I guess. And they've been around for a number of years. I don't know, probably like 4 or 5 years old, something like that. And JobGet's now acquired Snag a Job and these guys. So they're really going after that hourly market out there from a niche perspective. So now they own 3 job boards: JobGet, which is a mobile app basically, and then Seasoned and Snag a Job. So, you guys have any thoughts on what's going on here?
JobGet posted, I don't remember the words they used, but they definitely are not limiting themselves to hourly.
Mm.
They're I don't think they use the expression or the phrase roll up, but that seems to be what they're doing. There was a post that they said that they are they're buying job boards almost regardless of financials. I think they said they were more concerned about the audience and the niche that they served. And the financials were kind of secondary. They think they felt like they could improve the financials no matter who they bought by having a more efficient back end and back office.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a smart play. If it's just a traffic buy, like even that, right? They're just adding more users to their base, which is, that's how you grow job boards. You get more users in the system. So I think that you could be right there. And yeah, I think it's a smart play overall. I would expect them to pick up a few more as we go along here.
For sure.
They have a pretty cool app too. The app is really nice user experience for the seeker and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. And being they were mobile first or mobile only essentially. Now they've got the web portion with Snag a Job and now Seasoned. Unless is Seasoned also an app? No, it's a job board too. It's on the web. So
I think Seasoned is app first,
as an app
web
first.
second.
Gotcha.
I definitely remember them talking about something about how the bulk of their traffic is through their app, which makes sense given their audience. It's pretty much San Francisco Bay Area hourly workers.
Oh, look, so they got $18 million 4 years ago. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, they're based out of, looks like West Coast.
It's quite a hefty raise.
Yeah, that was 4 years ago. So no updates since then, which is kind of interesting. It's always kind of like a tell where there's no news in the last 4 years. So,
That's really interesting.
yeah.
I'm guilty of that though too, Chris.
All right.
We'll have a new marketing site coming out in like the next week or two. It's like I tell people all the time, is like my background is in marketing and I'm embarrassed at our marketing site that it's been like that for the last handful of years.
Yeah, man. It's about perception, Brian. You want to, if I'm an employer looking at this, like, okay, they've raised $18 million 4 years ago and they haven't updated it since. What does that tell me as a potential client?
For
So
sure.
you want to at least just like quarterly or, just get something up there. You don't have to go crazy every week or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, plumbers have the leakiest pipes.
Yeah.
It's the one tough point though, like with content creation, right? Whether you're doing blogs or social media is like could be somebody's full-time job. And if they leave, it kind of gets to the wayside because I think there's just this tendency to look at the core of your business, right? And job postings and all that. And you're like, oh, a blog, does it really matter that much? But like here we are talking about it, right? And like 2021 was the last entry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Well, maybe you should hire me to be your PR guy. Nice. All right, here. What else we got in the news? Smart Job Board launched a new site with Michigan Economic Development Corporation. They're going after like these associations now. Smart Job Board is with these new sites and stuff. So I thought that was interesting to note. And I think they're even trying to do some selling now for some of their clients as well. On that side of things. Instant Teams, which is I guess a customer service talent marketplace, launched a new job board as well. That was let me see if I can pull it up here for the audience here. Instant Teams. Yeah, here it is. These guys, I think they court like veteran spouses to work at these customer service jobs. Has anybody seen any new niches that pop up recently? New job boards, anything? I have a new client. Well, he's not a new client, but a new guy joined my community, and he's working on a Microsoft job board. So curious what that's going to be like.
The only jobs that they have are for Microsoft.
I don't know. I'm curious. He just said a Microsoft job, so I don't know what that means. But I guess we'll find out. I'm helping a client now on a Workday related job board, so because that's a niche for sure.
The only jobs would be from employers that use Workday.
Mm-hmm.
Why would candidates care about that?
That's interesting.
Well, I think she's a recruiter, so she in that space. So for her, it's kind of a natural extension of her business. And there used to be a site called Workday Gigs that has gone. It's gone now, but it was like wdgigs.com or something like that. So I'm surprised. I'm most surprised about the niches out there that exist, and it's interesting. But the whole Workday ecosystem is pretty big, actually, Stephen.
Oh no, it is absolutely.
Yeah.
But if I was a candidate, I wouldn't even understand what an ATS is, let alone who the players are, let alone
No. Like Workday, experts, like a Workday administrator.
I
As an
thought,
employer, yeah.
okay, I thought, okay, now that makes sense to me. Okay, so just like you might go to a niche site for Salesforce administrators, or
Right, exactly. Like Salesforce. I think there's a Salesforce
there
job.
probably is. Okay, that
So like
makes
big
sense. That makes a
big
ton of
software vendors have like their own ecosystem, and it becomes a niche almost sometimes, depending on how big they get, which is interesting.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yep. All right.
We've seen some smaller driver job boards pop up, but haven't really made any waves or
Oh yeah.
had any traction. I can't even remember their names, mind you, but yeah. Sorry, my contractors are here working on my house and they just cut my power, so I'm on my phone. Yeah. Anyway.
There is a new one, a new restaurant one. I think it's Oysterlink.
Yes, I wrote about them.
It looks quite a decent. They spent a lot of money creating their site. They have a team of about 15 or 16 people, all look very important, which is pretty big to start as a startup.
Yeah, they did. It's probably one of the best jobs I've seen from a content perspective and just content marketing and knocking that out of the park. They say they generate 280,000 monthly page views on that stuff, or maybe visitors. And it's a really good. They're about to turn on the hiring stuff. Let me see if they've actually done that yet. Let me pull it up. Oysterlink.com. Right now, it's still free to post a job here. Let me get on the Zoom here. But the guys over at JBoard did a nice interview with them. Here it is. So post a job. It's still free to post a job. So I guess they're still working on the back end there. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. It just goes to prove that, content marketing works as far as driving traffic goes. And they've built an audience here of, hospitality professionals. All right. If you can do that, you can launch a job board and make money with it. So I'm curious to see how they execute this, and we'll see. But they've done a great job so far. Do you guys play at all in the hospitality space, Don? Or
Doing what, sorry?
well, you have the jobs in retail, right?
Yeah.
What are your sites, by the way?
Well, we have all retail jobs.
All retail jobs. That's right. Yeah, just list 3 of your sites again, if you could, for the
We have jobs in logistics,
Yeah.
all retail jobs, jobs in manufacturing, fleet jobs, home delivery jobs, and jobs in trucks. And our sister company is topusajobs.com.
Yeah. Are you guys still? Do you take traffic from other job boards and stuff, or sell traffic?
On
No.
Top
Yeah.
Top USA, yes. I mean, that is a major affiliate. But for the others, no, we're strictly our own listings.
Yep. Gotcha.
We are just looking at a little bit of that with the all retail jobs.
Someone in the chat is asking about the events. It's jobboardcon.com. Alucci. Jobboardcon. You can also go to jobboardseekers.com and click on the event link there as well. Tim Deneen is listening in. You want to say hello, Tim? Mr. X Indeed is on the line.
Hey, Chris. Hey, everyone. Yeah, I'm planning to attend the event next month, so I figured I'd join here and listen in.
Awesome, man. Awesome. How you been?
I've been good. We haven't talked since
Wreckfest,
but
yeah.
yeah, good to see you.
Same here. Same here. What's new? What's new in your world? I saw some recruits folks last week at Phenom.
Oh yeah.
I missed Adam. He was there, but I mean, I saw Michelle and Naheem or Nareem.
So I think we talked about it briefly last time I saw you, but yeah, we're launching a job alert service for Telivity, and kind of considering whether it could be deployed more broadly beyond Telivity and Onward Search and some of the companies in our family here. But I've been working a lot on candidate matching technology, so kind of considering what's next while we are in the middle of launching that.
Cool, man.
Chris, and maybe Tim, this is a question directed to you based on candidate matching. But like for us on our job board, when workers apply, we just show all of the workers, right? Like there could be 55 applicants, and we put the onus on the company. You go through, you decide who you want to pick. What's kind of the feedback that you might get if anyone's plugged in AI or stuff like that for, hey, you had these 55 applicants, but we think you should focus on these 5 or these 7. Like, do you find companies really like that, or they're kind of guided down that path, or they want to really see all the options?
I would say that, well, we're going that way as an industry. That's
Yeah.
the way Smart Job Board does it, I believe. They rank you. And every ATS is going to have some kind of, ranking system in there eventually. So yeah, I do think they care particularly for the high volume stuff. If they get 200, 300 applications, yeah, you should help rank those folks for that employer because they don't have time to go through all 300. So.
But hasn't that been made harder by the fact that the candidates are all using AI to write their CVs, and they're reading CVs, speaking to the candidate and thinking you're not even the same people? So the recruiters, because obviously we do recruitment websites as well as job boards, and they're really, really struggling to actually identify if that CV is a true reflection of that candidate. So they're then kind of almost going the other way to make it harder for candidates to apply and asking the questions that, you kind of go down the ATS route of making them repopulate all their CV. However, they can copy and paste it from the CV and still use AI to autofill those questions. So yeah, it is tough going to make sure you're talking to an actual human, even if it's a candidate.
Yeah, you have to have more pre-screening questions in there as an employer, and yeah, if all the resumes look the same, you're gonna have to use other data points, I guess, to separate those folks. But
Yeah.
I think too, I think my theory is that one day, say 5 to 10 years from now, everyone's just going to interview through AI and not just apply first. They're going to interview first, and AI is going to do that. AI is the one to separate their answers, and that's how you're going to differentiate the top candidates from the lesser ones.
Yeah. I actually had this situation come up. See if I can find it really quick. We were talking about like a review, and this company sent me the supporting evidence, and read.ai.
Feed.ai.
Yeah, it was really interesting. If I think I remember correctly, it's like watching the interview replay, and AI was analyzing the engagement level of the applicant, right? Like, are they leaning in? Are they interested? Are they not? And it was like, I don't know. I mean, this is a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Big
You're
ones.
going to see like fraud detection now built in. Like Phenom just launched some stuff around fraud detection when during an interview. I forget what some of the pieces of it were, but you're going to see more fraud detection built into recruiting software out there. It's coming.
Yeah.
I would urge a great deal of caution about those psychometric, quasi-scientific gobbledygook kinds of stuff. There's so many cultural variations, there are gender variations, candidates with disabilities, candidates who are introverted versus extroverted, candidates who are applying to be a mechanical engineer versus a vice president of business development. To try to infer without any baseline whatsoever that somebody who leans in towards their camera is more engaged and therefore is a better candidate, it sounds good, but there's no scientific validity to it. And as soon as you start doing that kind of stuff, then you become arguably a staffing company, and therefore you're just as liable as the employer is for their discriminatory hiring practices. Hilke Schleman, I can't recall how she's a New York University professor and journalist. And I interviewed her for a podcast. She's been interviewed by a number of podcasts and spoken in a number of conferences. She has a fantastic book, real easy read. Took me like a day. Um, and it kind of goes through a lot of the online assessments and the ranking and scoring. And a lot of this stuff sounds logical, but it reminds me of the vitamin industry. It's like if this particular vitamin actually did what it is purported to do, then it would be the next miracle drug. And yet, for some reason, these companies that are making a lot of money never put their vitamins through any kind of scientific testing process because they don't want to know. They don't want to claim that there's a health benefit because if there is a health benefit, now it has to be, regulated in this way and that way. So, um, I live in Minneapolis, and there used to be a museum here, well, like a little tiny museum. It was like called like the Museum of the Weird or the Scientifically Dubious or something. And it was a whole bunch of stuff from the 1920s and 1930s that if your head had a certain shape, then that meant that you were intelligent. Um, and if your nose had that kind of shape, then that meant you had these skills. And it's just all BS.
Yeah.
Um, when you talk to employers about the ranking systems, um, you have to be really careful about that because a lot of the ranking systems will say they'll be built on LLMs, which don't do a very good job of it, and they're making probabilistic just determinations about who is likely to be better qualified. But the fundamental problem with all of that is that you don't know. You never know that if 100 people applied to your job and you only interviewed the top 10 and you hired one of those, how do you know that that person was better qualified than the 98th ranked candidate?
Yeah.
That's why I think everyone's getting interviewed with AI to level that playing field, Stephen.
Yeah, but how does the AI evaluate who's the best ranked and who's the worst ranked?
It uses
Just
the
because
answers.
it's done, just because it's done,
It creates likely scenarios, the likely candidates, right? It's not saying they are,
doesn't
but
mean it's right though. I
well,
mean, I understand the
that's
methodology, but the methodology, I mean, I can get behind the wheel of a car and drive with my eyes closed. There's the methodology. It's not a good idea to do that because pretty quickly I'm going to crash into something. And I
what if
think a
I told
lot of the
you?
case is the same with the claims that the AI ranking software has. I have yet to see one where they actually randomly selected people in a double-blind manner and said these 100 candidates ranked well, we're going to hire them. These 100 candidates didn't rank well, we're also going to hire them. And then we're going to circle back a year or two later and see who actually performed better. Nobody's done that. And until somebody does that, it's not scientifically validated. It's an assumption, it's a belief. But my concern is that there are a whole lot of people out there who are trying to sell a whole lot of snake oil. I do think some of these products actually work. Don't get me wrong. I think, but to decide to try to pick which ones actually do, which ones actually don't. I don't think that there's been the testing in a scientifically validated manner to really know. And so I would just urge caution to those who are selling these products not to make claims that they can't scientifically justify.
Yeah. Well, it's still early days, but the tech's getting better. I will give a shout out to Upwage, a new client of mine, and they have a study where it's reduced turnover by 48% with one of their clients, and they have the data to back that up in terms of
So I read that,
yeah.
and it sounds good, but it doesn't actually say that. What it says is there's a difference between correlation and causation. The study that they published is all about correlation. After we brought in this software, our turnover rate dropped dramatically. Okay, maybe it's due to the software. I'm not saying it's not, but it also was introduced at a time when the labor market massively softened.
Yeah.
And so even if they hadn't brought in that software, what would have happened to their turnover rate? We can't know.
Yeah.
So, I think you could do a study like at an Amazon level or a Walmart or a Target where you've got a ton of stores and a ton of employees and you could hire different people in different stores differently and compare those, so you've got like here in the Twin Cities, we probably got 30 Target stores. You could hire 15 with new software and keep going with the others and see what happens after a year. But to just say like before this, we had a 48% turnover rate, and after that, we had a 12% or whatever the numbers were, that's correlation. That's not causation.
Yeah. Cool, guys.
So again, I'm not saying that the software, the methodology is crap. I'm not. I'm just saying that when we market this stuff, we need to be careful about what it actually does and what it doesn't do.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point, Stephen. And I mean, like, last week I had someone who kind of teed off a little bit on me that an applicant
Just one person last week.
just one. I try to make my email address not visible anywhere online. But had an applicant, and I think there was blame both sides. I saw the conversation. I try to be Switzerland in that sense, and I don't really, try to keep it pretty neutral. But the applicant voiced their opinion with a little F off in a text message, and then I kind of got blamed for that. Like, this person shouldn't be on your platform, and we
Really
had
interesting.
212,000 workers on Trusted Herd. And I'm just like, this kind of came up 3 years ago, and I got to the point I decided then I was like, I'm going to let reviews do the talking. So if you have a bad experience with an applicant or a worker, like leave a review. It goes on their profile. It's not Brian telling you whatever, but I kind of struggle. I think just general in the startup world, AI is obviously very popular and a buzzword, and we're going to go out and raise $10 million because we have AI, but who knows what it does. And then it ultimately gets cannibalized within 6 to 12 months anyway by a bigger fish. And, my thought is like you plug something like that in to your job board site where they're reviewing applicants, and now all of a sudden it's not just you as the recruiter picking the talent, but hey, Brian, the software made me pick this person who I had a bad experience with, and it's like you're almost over, like I don't know if it's illegal, but you are opening yourself to more exposure of like, hey, your software told me to pick the wrong candidate, right?
So your site recommended this particular candidate as among a list, or was it the top one, or?
Actually, this person had good reviews. I'm a firm person or believer that everyone has bad days and bad moments.
Yeah.
And if you catch someone at the bad moment, then it doesn't reflect necessarily on them. And based on previous reviews, I don't think this is a bad person. I think it was just a bad moment for everybody involved, right? But it was definitely targeted at me. And I've always liked the witch model, the sandwich place, because you don't like your sandwich, blame yourself. You're the one who marked it with the Sharpie on the bag and you submitted it, like, I like then you could get into bad tomatoes or lettuce or whatever, but like, I just, I like the idea of presenting all the applicants and you're going through and you're picking. And if it didn't work out, it's like, hey, that person is on other job sites outside of just mine. You would have found them online anyway, somewhere else. So it's tough, but yeah, it doesn't come in a lot. I would say though, Stephen, like, I've had people past couple weeks like, hey, this person should not be on your platform, and I'm like, well, do I kick them off? Does it really going to matter in the grand scheme of things? Or you could kick the wrong person off and now they, tee off on you and every blog and Facebook group that they know. It's tough. So that's why I try to like take a step back, be the person behind the curtain and not try to, push too hard.
I totally agree. And Brian, I'm putting words in your mouth too, but like that particular employer who was saying like this person shouldn't be on the platform. Okay. Would you like to review the 250,000 people that we have and tell me which ones we should eliminate? Because what was that? Oh, I can't remember. There was a movie. Was it a Tom Cruise movie but whatever. It's like where the future crimes. It's like the police would show up at your door and they would arrest you because 3 years from now you're going to murder somebody. How could you possibly know that this person was going to send a text? Now, if they're doing it over and over and over again, okay, but a bad candidate to you might be a great candidate for me.
For sure.
And now I'm struggling to think of too many employers that would want to hire somebody who drops F-bombs, angry F-bombs in texts. But I don't know, prison guard, maybe.
Yeah, but we don't know the context of it. I mean, with a communication like that, we don't know the context. As Brian said, we all have bad days, bad moments, and it's that lead up. And I think like you said earlier as well, it's tough going out there for candidates. That's why there's hundreds of applications for jobs, especially see it in the UK, but obviously over the pond as well. It is really tough going. So people are going to try their damnedest to get a job. And if you're going to push the boundary, who can blame you for actually wanting to go out there and get a job and not sit at home? And this is more reflective of the UK, be given some benefits. So, and it always takes two sides for every story, doesn't it?
It is always two sides. Like we'll get workers who will message in and go, hey, this company never paid me, and before I go out and I go back to the company and I always email them back and I say, listen, I will try to help you personally, right? But I need you to answer these 6 questions. I need all the communication you ever shared, the promised job date, the promised pay date, any contracts, like I need it all. And every one of those times, like very rarely, less than 5% of the time, like it's legit. You know, I had one of those situations where like this person was trying to use their friend to get paid and wanted their friend to get paid via paperwork so they could get paid. And then they go on a Facebook group and they write this whole big thing targeting the company. And it's like,
Is that a
well,
big issue for you guys, Brian? Do you have to deal with a lot of job seeker interactions like that on a regular basis, or?
um, I wouldn't say a lot, you know, but like we last 12 months, there's been 70,000 jobs posted on Trusted Herd. And we, you know, we don't let every company that applies to get on the site. It is free to sign up, but like if you don't have a legitimate business website or online presence, like we don't let you on, you know. But you know, hey, sometimes stuff happens. Like, you know, Coca-Cola might have a net 90 for pay terms, right? And workers don't like that. And then if their contract says, hey, we'll pay you in net 45, which is still a very long time for our industry,
Yeah.
like a worker after a week, you know, they didn't read that part in the contract, right? And
Yeah,
so
if you do Uber Eats, you can get paid the same day. It's like, so candidates are being conditioned to, expect, same day pay almost these days.
Brian, are you the employer of record?
So we are not. We are just
Okay.
the job board site, community / review site. We did like 6 months ago choose a EOR of record or a preferred EOR. We can't use partner because legal agreements, but if companies come to us and say, hey, want to we want to use your site, we want to hire directly, we want to manage these workers, because they're not our workers, right? They're just anybody can join and sign up, whether they're 1099 or W-2, that's on the company. But if they say, but we don't have the legal background or we don't want to accrue them on our payroll, we didn't have a solution before that because I didn't want to just pick someone either. Like, you know, I built this up over 8 years, and anyone who I suggest as a vendor to someone, I want to make sure they have a good experience and you know, they're treated well and all of that. So there were a couple of agencies, event agencies in our world that were using this EOR. And after like 5 months of talking and personal beliefs and business beliefs, we linked up and now I've gotten them like 6 new clients. And the forward goal though is to incorporate our softwares even more, where if I'm a company posting a job and I'm looking at 50 applicants for a job in Minneapolis, okay, here are these 7 workers who are already onboarded with that EOR, meaning you don't have to do any paperwork to hire them. You just have to click hire, you know? So I think like that's where we're headed. You know, like I started as just a review site and slowly, like after a couple years, turned into more jobs, and now everything's like humming along and growing as one. But it's like, how do you make it more sticky, right? So having the scheduling and checking in and checking out of jobs and becoming more like workforce management, and then eventually some payroll capabilities make it where like, hey, yeah, we don't just post our jobs on Trusted, but we rely on them to do a lot more part of our business. So that's kind of like how I'm trying to stay relevant and sticky over many years.
But I thought there was no innovation in the job board industry.
I thought we were all dying.
Yeah.
I'm very backwards. I took me like 4 years to find Chris, and then he helped me with a lot of low-hanging fruit that I had no idea, because we're not on a job board platform. Like we built everything from scratch. And we have iOS apps and Android apps, and then website version, which makes it complicated. Like when Chris was talking about that company that got acquired and they're mobile first, it's like, yeah, I'd love to simplify it and just do iOS and Android, but so many workers might just prefer a computer, right? And it's like you kind of gotta, it's more work for us, development, but you know, I think it's a more robust offering. So
Yeah, I built some apps back, probably 10, 12 years ago, and boy, that was a money suck, man. I wish I had that money back.
I gotta jump to pick up my 6-year-old at school,
Yeah, I think
but
we're on this now anyway, but appreciate you
it was
guys
nice.
showing up today. I'll put the replay on YouTube shortly, and yeah, jobboardcon.com, and the next quarterly will be late June probably. So we'll see you guys then.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming,
Thanks.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone.
Thanks.
Bye bye.